Why do you keep getting angry at people, even when you promised yourself you wouldn't? Why does one comment, one disrespectful look, or one stupid email ruin your entire day? You're not weak, you're human. But here's the truth. Most men are not angry because the world is cruel. They're angry because they expect the world to be fair. Stoic philosophy reveals something powerful. You don't control what happens, you only control how you respond. And that means anger is not caused by them, it's a decision made by you. Most just don't realize it, yet. In today's world, emotional self-control isn't just a virtue, it's a weapon. While most are slaves to their emotions, you can become the man who responds with strength, not noise. Who speaks with purpose, not impulse. Who chooses calm over chaos. This video will break down why anger dominates your life and show you how to train your mind to take back command. Through 7 proven principles from Stoic philosophy and mental discipline, you'll build a mindset that no one can shake. And if you felt alone in this fight, trust me, you're not. Thousands of men are rising up, learning to lead their lives from the inside out. You can be one of them. Hit that like button, subscribe for more unbreakable wisdom, and share this video with a man who needs to hear this today. Let's begin. The storm outside ends when you master the storm within. 1. You're expecting the world to be fair. Anger is a reaction we all know too well. It's that overwhelming surge that takes over your mind and body. It clouds your judgment, narrows your vision, and leaves you feeling drained. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why? Why does something as simple as an offhand comment, a missed expectation, or a sudden change in plans send you spiraling? The answer is simple. You're expecting the world to be fair, and that expectation is setting you up for failure. Here's the truth. The world doesn't owe you fairness. No one does. Yet we spend so much of our energy demanding that others treat us how we expect to be treated, how we think we deserve to be treated. And when they don't, anger steps in. But here's the kicker. Anger won't make the world any fairer, and it certainly won't make you any more in control. Think of it like this. You're standing in the middle of a storm, battling against the wind, the rain, and the chaos around you. You're angry because the storm is raging, because it's not fair, because it's out of your control. But here's the thing, fighting the storm won't stop it. You have no control over it. The only thing you control is how you respond. This is where Stoic philosophy comes in. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled one of the most powerful empires in history, had a mantra that could change everything for you. You have power over your mind, not outside events. This means the moment you stop expecting the world to be fair, and instead focus on how you can respond, you stop giving your power away. You gain control. The Stoics believed that our peace comes not from the world around us, but from within. Expecting fairness means expecting others to align with your worldview, your timeline, and your plans. But life doesn't work that way. People will disappoint you, circumstances will let you down. But your peace, it's entirely in your hands. The anger you feel is a reaction, not an inevitability. It's a response, and just like any response, you can choose it. It's time to stop fighting the storm. You cannot control it. Instead, you can control how you stand in it. You can choose to remain grounded, focused, and unshaken by the forces around you. You can choose to stop expecting others to act in ways that serve your needs, and instead focus on how you can serve yourself. So, what can you do instead of anger? Start by adjusting your expectations. When you stop demanding fairness, you open up the space to control your emotions, to act with purpose, and to find peace. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic or a colleague disrespects you, ask yourself, will getting angry make things better? Will it change anything? The answer, of course, is no. So, why waste your energy? Instead, practice responding with calm and clarity. This is how you can train your mind, like a muscle, to take charge of your emotions. The more you do it, the stronger you get. The more you choose peace over anger, the more you develop an unshakable internal fortress. And that fortress, that's the real strength of a Stoic warrior. So the next time life hits you with its unfairness, take a breath. Recognize the storm. Then decide, will you let it shake you, or will you stand tall, rooted in your own response? This is how you stop getting angry, not by demanding fairness, but by mastering your inner world. And once you start mastering your mind, the outside world will no longer have the power to disturb your peace. 2. You react, not reflect. You've been there, right? The moment someone disrespects you, the anger rises like a wave, and before you know it, you're swept away, yelling, maybe even saying things you don't mean. It's instinctive. It's almost as if your body reacts before your mind even catches up. But what if I told you that this impulsive reaction is the very thing keeping you trapped? It's not the anger that's the problem. It's how you react to it. We live in a world that encourages instant responses, a world where emotions are treated like impulses to act on. But here's the truth that Stoic philosophy reveals. Reaction is weakness. Reflection is strength. You may think that reacting quickly, getting your anger out, is a sign of strength. But in reality, it's a sign of a mind that's undisciplined. Picture this. You're in the middle of a high-stakes meeting at work, and someone interrupts you, dismisses your idea. Immediately, the rush of anger floods in. Your chest tightens, your hands clench, and you feel your pulse quicken. What's your first instinct? To speak back harshly, right? To defend yourself and assert your place. But what happens when you act without thinking? You lose control. You lose the high ground. Now, you're just another guy who got angry and said something he regrets. This is where Stoicism offers its powerful countermeasure. Pause before you react. That simple moment of reflection gives you the space to respond instead of react. The Stoics understood that emotion is like a muscle. It can either be a source of strength or weakness, depending on how you train it. And the key to building this strength is practicing self-control in the moment. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, said, "An angry man is again angry with himself when he returns to reason." In other words, when you let your anger dictate your actions, you're not just damaging the situation, you're damaging your own peace of mind. Every time you give in to anger, you lose control over the one thing that should matter most, your inner calm. But here's the solution. Reframe your response. Anger is not the problem. How you respond to it is. You're not weak because you feel anger. You're weak if you act on it without thinking. The Stoics didn't teach us to suppress emotions. They taught us how to choose our responses. They taught us to pause, reflect, and then decide how we want to respond. Imagine being in that same meeting. Instead of instantly reacting to the insult, you take a breath. You don't give them the power to throw you off balance. Instead, you pause, take a mental step back, and ask yourself, what's my long-term goal here? Is this worth my emotional energy? With that reflection, you realize it's not worth it. You respond with poise, clear-headed, and in control. That moment of pause is where your strength lies. This is not some far-off ideal. It's something you can practice every day. Next time you feel the anger rise, don't let it dictate the moment. Pause, reflect, choose your response. In doing so, you take back your power. You stop letting your emotions control you, and instead, you start controlling your emotions. Anger may still rise. It's human. But how you deal with it, that's what makes the difference between a man who is constantly at the mercy of his emotions and a man who stands firm, unshaken by the chaos around him. So, train yourself to reflect, not react. Every moment is a chance to strengthen your resolve. And each time you choose to respond instead of react, you grow stronger. You become the stoic warrior you were always meant to be. 3. You take things personally. How many times have you found yourself getting angry because of something someone said or did, only to realize later it had nothing to do with you? It's frustrating, isn't it? You think, why would they say that to me? How could they disrespect me like that? And in that moment, it feels personal. It feels like an attack on who you are, your worth, and your identity. But here's the kicker, it's not personal. When you take things personally, you're giving away your power. You're allowing someone else's words, actions, or opinions to define your emotional state. In essence, you're handing over the keys to your peace of mind to someone who may not even know the impact they've had on you. This is where the trap lies. The more you make things personal, the more you're controlled by them. It's a constant battle for validation that only feeds your anger and frustration. Now, let's take a step back and look at this from a Stoic perspective. The Stoics knew that life was going to throw curveballs. People would say things that didn't sit right with you, circumstances would unfold in ways you didn't expect, and conflict would be inevitable. But they also understood something critical. You are not what others say about you. You are what you choose to be. Epictetus, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, famously said, "If someone speaks ill of you, do not defend. Say, he didn't know my other faults." This isn't about being passive. It's about recognizing that someone else's words are just that, their words. They reflect more about the speaker than they do about you. When you take things personally, you give them the power to define your reaction. But you have the power to choose your response. Imagine this. You're in a meeting at work, and a colleague makes a sarcastic remark about your idea. Instantly, you feel your face flush, your fists clench, and a wave of anger rises. But pause. What if this wasn't about you at all? What if your colleague was dealing with their own insecurities, frustrations, or pressures? By taking it personally, you've just made their problem your problem, and that's exactly what they want. Instead, you can choose to respond with calm, dismiss it as their issue, and move forward with your purpose. That is the power of emotional control. The mistake most people make is thinking that their emotional response is a direct reflection of the external situation. It's not. Your response is a reflection of how you perceive the situation. If you feel insulted, it's because you allowed yourself to feel insulted. But if you understand that others' actions aren't about you, they become less of a threat and more of a challenge. A chance for you to prove your mental resilience. So, what does this look like in action? Next time someone makes a disrespectful comment or challenges your worth, don't let it rattle you. Take a deep breath and remember, this is not about me. This is about them. In that moment, you regain your power. You stop the cycle of anger before it starts. The Stoics didn't teach us to suppress our emotions. They taught us to master them. They taught us that it's not about avoiding negative experiences, but about controlling how we respond to them. Taking things personally gives power to others. Choosing not to do so gives you power over your emotions. This is the essence of Stoic strength, to remain steadfast and unshaken no matter what others throw at you. As you walk through life, you'll inevitably face criticism and disrespect. The question isn't whether or not you'll encounter it, but how you'll handle it. When you stop taking things personally, you stop letting others dictate your emotional state. And when you master your emotions, you become the calm in the storm, a true Stoic warrior, unshaken and in control. 4. You're trying to control the uncontrollable. The world is unpredictable. People disappoint you. Traffic makes you late. Your boss piles on work you don't have time for. And in every one of those moments, you feel it, that rush of anger. It's the feeling of being out of control, watching as everything spins out of your grasp. But here's the painful truth. You're trying to control things you have no power over. In every instance of anger, you're engaging in a battle against the uncontrollable. You get frustrated because things didn't go according to your plan. Your emotions flare up because you tried to shape the world to fit your expectations. But the Stoics knew a powerful truth. You can't control the actions of others, nor can you control the outcomes of every situation. What you can control, however, is your reaction to those circumstances. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. Your pulse quickens, your grip on the steering wheel tightens, and the anger starts to build. You can feel it, the frustration, the helplessness. And yet, the traffic isn't going to move any faster because of your anger. The only thing that changes is your inner state. And the truth is, getting angry in that moment doesn't help you. It only makes you feel worse. Stoic philosophy teaches us that our peace doesn't come from controlling external events. It comes from controlling how we react to them. The reality is that we're surrounded by chaos every day, but it's how we choose to respond to that chaos that defines us. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This is particularly true when we waste our time and energy by getting angry at things we cannot change. The real question is, why give your power away? Why let something as uncontrollable as traffic or someone else's actions dictate your peace? You don't have to fight battles that don't exist. The storm outside can rage all it wants, but you can still stand firm, unshaken. You have the power to choose your response, and that choice is where your strength lies. The Stoics practiced what's called the dichotomy of control. This principle teaches us to differentiate between what is in our control and what is not. You can't control the traffic, the weather, or the behavior of other people, but you can control how you react to these situations. That's where your power lies, in your own response. You don't need to give your energy to things outside your control. Instead, direct it towards what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your emotional response. This doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent. It means you stop fighting battles you can't win. When you stop trying to control what's beyond your reach, you stop wasting energy on things that only drain you. The more you practice this, the more you'll find yourself unaffected by the chaos around you. You'll become like a rock in the middle of a storm, unmoved, solid, and steady. Here's the simple practice. Next time you're stuck in traffic, take a deep breath. Recognize that the situation is out of your hands, but how you choose to respond is entirely within your control. Instead of cursing the traffic, choose to stay calm. Use that time to center yourself, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, I control my peace. Every time you make this choice, you train your mind to remain calm in the face of chaos. This is the essence of Stoicism. Not controlling the world around you, but mastering how you react to it. And by mastering your response, you master yourself. Anger is a choice. Let go of the need to control the uncontrollable, and you'll find freedom in the places where you once felt trapped. The more you practice this, the stronger you'll become, like a warrior who can stand firm, no matter the storm. 5. You haven't trained your mind. Anger doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's not an accident. It's a result of your mental conditioning. When the pressure builds, when life hits you with challenges, what happens? Does your mind stay calm, focused, and in control, or does it unravel into frustration, short temper, and bitterness? The difference between those two responses isn't luck, it's training. Imagine a fighter in the ring. The first few punches feel intense, overwhelming, and disorienting. But the more he trains, the more he learns to absorb the blows, adjust his stance, and fight with strategy. He doesn't act on impulse. He doesn't let the anger or fear dictate his next move. Instead, he's prepared. Every punch, every block, every move is a conscious, controlled decision. His mind has been conditioned to stay sharp under pressure. Just like this fighter, your mind needs to be trained to stay calm in the chaos of life. Every day is a chance to condition your mind to withstand the punches of stress, frustration, and conflict. You can't expect to remain calm in difficult moments if you've never trained for them. It's like expecting to run a marathon without ever putting on running shoes. You can't hope for peace of mind. You must train for it, just like an athlete trains for the championship. This is where Stoic philosophy provides the blueprint. The Stoics didn't view the mind as something you simply have. They saw it as something you develop. Seneca said it best, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In other words, mastery over anger is the key to true freedom. But this mastery doesn't come naturally. It's the result of practice, of daily habits that build mental resilience. Many people make the mistake of assuming that mental toughness is something you're born with. But this is a myth. Mental strength is a skill. And just like any skill, it requires dedication, repetition, and patience. Every time you choose to pause instead of react, every time you take a step back to assess the situation instead of lashing out, you are training your mind. Every choice to remain calm is a rep in your mental workout. Let's look at it practically. Think of your daily life as a series of small stressors. An email that throws off your day, a coworker who frustrates you, traffic that makes you late. Each of these is a moment for you to practice mental discipline. The next time something happens that typically triggers your anger, don't react immediately. Pause for a moment, take a deep breath, then ask yourself, what is the best response here? It's not about suppressing your anger. It's about making a conscious decision to control it. This isn't easy, especially at first. Your mind isn't used to staying calm when it's in the heat of the moment. But just like a fighter who trains his reflexes, your mind will get stronger the more you practice. And with time, what once triggered a fiery reaction will become a moment of calm reflection. Training your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It doesn't just help you avoid angry outbursts. It helps you become more intentional with your emotions, more purposeful with your actions, and ultimately more in control of your life. Anger no longer controls you. You control your anger. This isn't about never feeling angry. It's about choosing when and how to express that anger. The Stoics didn't teach us to avoid emotions. They taught us to manage them. By training your mind daily, you not only stop anger from running the show, you become the one who calls the shots. So, make the choice today. Train your mind. Practice pausing, practicing reflection, and practicing control. Every day, you become a little stronger, a little more resilient, and a little more in charge. And as you build this mental muscle, you'll find yourself not just reacting to life's challenges, you'll be ready to face them with the calm strength of a true Stoic warrior. 6. You don't know your triggers. Anger isn't just an emotion. It's a reaction, a reflex, a chain of events that begins the moment something outside of you touches a sensitive spot. The problem is, many of us don't even know what those triggers are. We get angry, and the next thing we know, we've lost control and said or done something we regret. But why does this keep happening? The answer is simple. You haven't identified what's setting you off. You're like a fighter, stepping into the ring without knowing where your opponent will strike. You're going into battle blind, and as a result, your emotions take over when the punches land. But what if you could predict the punch? What if you could stop it before it lands? This is where emotional awareness comes into play. The Stoics taught us that true power lies in our ability to reflect before reacting. They didn't shy away from the harsh reality that we are often governed by unchecked emotions. Instead, they gave us the tools to turn that instinctual response into a moment of clarity. In fact, Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." Imagine you're walking into a stressful situation, maybe a heated conversation with a coworker, or a frustrating moment in traffic. If you haven't identified your triggers, it's easy for anger to catch you off guard. But if you've spent time understanding what sets you off, whether it's feeling disrespected, ignored, or misunderstood, you've already gained the advantage. You've prepared for the moment. Let's say your trigger is feeling disrespected. The next time someone cuts you off in conversation or interrupts you, you'll feel that wave of anger rising. But instead of reacting, you pause and remember, this is a trigger. You recognize that this moment has nothing to do with you. It's about their actions, not your worth. By recognizing this in the moment, you've already diffused the situation. You're no longer controlled by the anger that once would have taken over. Now, you have the power to choose how to respond. This is where your practice of self-awareness and reflection comes in. To master your emotions, you first need to know what sets them off. Stoic philosophy teaches us to reflect daily, to take the time to identify what triggers our emotions. Whether it's a conversation, an interaction, or a situation, knowing your triggers gives you the chance to prepare your response before the anger can take hold. You might think this sounds easy, but it's not. Most of us spend our lives on autopilot, reacting to whatever life throws at us without stopping to understand why we react the way we do. But once you identify your triggers, you have the ability to stop the chain of events before they escalate. Think of it like a fire. If you catch the spark early, you can prevent the entire forest from burning down. If you allow the spark to grow, the flames can consume everything in their path. Your triggers are like sparks. They may feel like small moments, but if you don't recognize them for what they are, they'll grow into full-blown anger. But when you spot them, you can stop them in their tracks. So what does this look like in action? Start by keeping track of your emotions throughout the day. Whenever you feel anger rising, ask yourself, what triggered this? Was it something someone said? Was it a feeling of disrespect? By identifying the trigger, you can begin to control your response. This is how you take back control. Once you start identifying your triggers, you'll find that anger has less and less power over you. Instead of reacting without thinking, you'll be responding with intention. The Stoic warrior doesn't wait for the enemy to strike. He anticipates the blow and prepares himself. This practice isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about recognizing them, understanding why they arise, and choosing the best way to respond. This is the power of emotional awareness. It's the key to mastering your anger and building the mental discipline that every true Stoic warrior carries. 7. You've forgotten the bigger picture. It's easy to get caught up in the small stuff, the little annoyances, the petty grievances, the things that seem so important in the heat of the moment. But here's the thing. When you're constantly focusing on those little irritations, you lose sight of the bigger picture. You're trading your long-term peace for short-term satisfaction. You're making yourself a prisoner of the immediate rather than embracing the freedom of the larger view. When you let anger dictate your actions, you're focusing solely on the immediate moment. The person who cut you off in traffic, the colleague who made a rude remark, they're all small parts of a much larger narrative. But your anger zooms in, focusing only on that one insignificant detail. You can't see the bigger picture. And in that narrow focus, you lose your peace. You lose your control. Let's compare this to a fighter in the ring. When he's in the middle of a fight, it's easy to get lost in the heat of the moment. He might get caught up in the emotions, the punches, and the strategy. But the truly great fighters know the importance of seeing the whole game, not just the battle at hand. They know how to keep perspective, stay grounded, and remember the ultimate goal: victory, not the individual moments of struggle. This is exactly what Stoicism teaches us. Life is full of obstacles, conflicts, and challenges. But the Stoics didn't get bogged down in the trivial. They trained their minds to zoom out and see the larger picture of life. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. When we focus too much on the small, immediate things, we're losing sight of the greater truth. The greater truth is that life isn't about isolated moments of frustration. It's about the journey, the growth, and the long-term vision. Now let's bring this into your everyday life. How often do you get angry over small things? The forgotten phone call, the missed deadline, the slight you feel you've received from a friend or colleague. These things feel huge in the moment. But when you zoom out, when you look at the bigger picture, they really don't matter all that much, do they? The true strength of a Stoic is the ability to focus on what's important, to keep the long-term vision in mind, rather than being swept away by every minor setback. When you're stuck in traffic, you might feel your anger rising. But remind yourself that this is just a blip in the grand scheme of your life. This moment will pass, and in the bigger picture, it means nothing. Instead of letting it consume you, use it as an opportunity to practice patience and build your emotional strength. When you get caught in the heat of the moment, take a step back. Ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? More often than not, the answer is no. And when you realize that, the anger starts to lose its grip on you. You regain your power. The next time you feel that familiar rush of frustration or anger, take a deep breath, shift your focus, zoom out, look at the bigger picture of your life and ask, what really matters here? This is how you regain your peace. This is how you stop letting every little thing steal your calm. When you see life as a whole, as a collection of moments, each one becomes less significant in the grand scheme. The more you practice this mindset, the more you'll find yourself able to stay calm, cool, and collected no matter what happens. You'll start responding to life, not reacting to it. In the end, the Stoics didn't just teach us to endure life's challenges. They taught us to embrace them with perspective, to keep our vision clear, and to always remember that what's truly important is the journey, not the bumps along the way. You've heard it, and now it's time to embrace it. Anger is a choice, not a reflex. The real reason you keep getting angry isn't because the world is unfair or because people are deliberately trying to upset you. It's because you've been responding to the world in the same way for too long. You haven't trained your mind to respond with control. The Stoics knew that to live with true strength, we must first master ourselves. They didn't preach about suppressing emotions or avoiding conflict. They taught us that by changing the way we respond, by training our minds every day, we can regain our power. You don't need to fight every battle. You need to stop letting your emotions fight for you. Now is the time to take this wisdom and put it into action. Every day, you have the opportunity to practice emotional discipline. Start small. Next time you feel anger rising, take a deep breath and pause. Recognize it for what it is, a trigger. not a truth. Ask yourself, what's the best response here? And as you make this choice, you are training your mind, building your resilience, and choosing inner peace over chaos. This is a journey, not a destination. It's about progress, not perfection. Every time you master your reaction, you strengthen your mind and your will. Every time you choose calm, you build that fortress within you. Over time, this practice will change everything, from the way you respond to situations, to how you handle stress, and to how you live your life. Share your journey in the comments below. How are you practicing emotional control today? What steps are you taking to break the cycle of anger? Let's learn from each other, grow together, and embrace the Stoic mindset that leads to lasting peace. Remember, you control your mind, and in doing so, you control your life.